My beloved child, I see more clearly than anyone the way your steps are rushing ahead, before your body is forced to lie still under the cold, sterile lights of a hospital. I want to draw you back, even just a little. If you do not stop today, tomorrow your body will be forced to stop in your place. And when that happens, your heart will be filled with regrets, pains, and consequences that could have been avoided. My child, every wave of dizziness, every skipped heartbeat, every long, sleepless night is not only a matter of health, it is the moment your body is crying for help. And I am quietly knocking at the door of your soul. When your hands tremble from exhaustion, when your legs feel as heavy as stone, when you no longer find joy even in your own breathing, that is not just work overload. It is my reminder that you are drifting away from yourself and away from me. I do not come to you in thunder or in storms. I come through small signals in your body so that you may understand every time your body cries out in pain. I am standing there, waiting for you to open the door of your heart. My child, you often ask me to protect your soul from temptation, from sin, from the dangerous crossroads of life. Yet there is one thing you rarely offer to me, your own worn-out body. You consider your spirit important, but you treat exhaustion, sleeplessness, and lingering aches as something to be endured a bit longer. It'll pass soon anyway. You do not know that I use the very limits of your body to urge you to stop, to reconsider, to turn back. Your body is not a burden, nor is it a tireless machine made only for work. It is the alarm bell I have placed in your life so that you do not destroy yourself in the illusion that I'm still fine. You are living in a world that praises those who grind day and night, glorifies packed schedules, and treats sleeping little, eating in haste, and forgetting to rest as normal, even admirable. I see you tying yourself to that wheel, trying not to fall behind, trying to prove yourself, trying to make sure no one calls you weak or less than others. But my child, every time you push past the limits I have set in your body, you are pushing yourself away from the safe space of grace. The world applauds when you are burnt out because of work, but my heart aches when I see you trading away the health, peace, and very life I have given you. I do not blame you for your efforts, because I know you have tried so hard and endured so much. But I warn you, not every effort is pleasing to me. When you push yourself to the point that you can no longer hear the sigh of your own body, no longer notice the silent cry of your heart, that is no longer diligence. It is you quietly being cruel to yourself. When you brush aside back pain, sleepless nights, and moments when your mind goes blank, you are also, unintentionally, brushing me aside, the one who is using those very signs to whisper, "My child, stop. Something is not right in your soul." When your body cries for help, it is not only a red alert about your health, it is my patient knock at the door, inviting you to return to a more ordered, holy way of life, where you truly respect yourself. My child, what pains me is not only that you are tired, but that you have grown so used to exhaustion that you now see it as an inevitable part of life. You wake up feeling heavy, go to bed worn out, drag yourself through the day in fatigue, and yet you tell yourself, everyone is like this, just push through and you'll get used to it. You treat constant, dull aches, restless nights, and groggy mornings as no big deal, as an obvious price to pay to exist, to make a living, to avoid being left behind. You do not realize that every time you normalize exhaustion, you are dimming one of the warning lights I have lit within your body. Burnout is not a medal of strength, it is a signpost showing that you have strayed from the path of peace I have planned for you. And when you force yourself to keep walking in fatigue, You are driving your body the temple, where I dwell toward a breaking point you do not foresee. There is something that always troubles my heart when I look at you. You have become so accustomed to living in a worn-out body, and yet you keep saying, "I'm fine." Every morning you drag yourself up, your mind heavy, your heart racing, your breathing shallow, and you simply tell yourself, "Just push a bit more. It's only because I stayed up late last night." Day after day, your tiredness is no longer unusual. It becomes the background music of your life, so familiar that you no longer realize you are living in constant warning. You do not see that each time you belittle your fatigue, you are unintentionally switching off a bell of alarm I have placed in your body. I do not scold you, but I am saddened, because you have accepted a life far below what I desire for you, like a lamp always set to dim, yet convinced that this is normal light. Do you know? The world has taught you a harsh language without you noticing. Busy means important. Being tired means hardworking. Being out of breath means you're really trying. You hear it often. Slowly, believe it, and then place it on yourself as a measure of worth. On days when your body is drained, you do not allow yourself to stop, because you are afraid others will think you are weak, afraid of falling behind, afraid of being compared, afraid of being forgotten. So you choose to swallow your fatigue, smile it off, drink another cup of coffee, stretch a few more hours of wakefulness, and soothe yourself with, "Everyone's like this. Who am I to expect to be healthier than others?" Yet, my child, what everyone does is not always from me. There are standards that crowds will cheer, but I do not. And when you use the crowd's words to drown out your body's cry for help, you begin to lose the ability to recognize me in the smallest signals of your life. I understand that behind your numbness to exhaustion are not only habits but also old wounds. Perhaps as a child you were told, "Just endure it. It's nothing. Others have it much worse than you." So now you have learned to stay silent and treat your tiredness as something unworthy of attention. Perhaps you lived in an environment where rest was labeled laziness, sitting still was called uselessness, and so now you feel guilty whenever you give yourself a pause. I see, my little child, who once needed only a hug to feel safe, now grown up and forcing yourself to appear strong, unable to admit even to yourself, "I'm too tired." Do not fear acknowledging your exhaustion. It is not surrender. It is the moment you become honest with me and with yourself. I am not waiting for a superhuman child. I am waiting for a child who dares to sigh before me and say, "I'm not okay anymore." Long ago, one of my own also became so exhausted that he just wanted to give up. It was my prophet Elijah, after a long journey of fleeing. He was so weary that he lay down under a tree and simply wished he did not have to go on. He did not want to do anything, did not want to take another step. He just wanted everything to end. But pay attention to how I came to him. I did not rebuke him for being weak. I did not say, "You must be stronger." I let him sleep, then woke him with a simple meal, then let him sleep again. I cared for his exhausted body first, and only then did I lift up his spirit. I acted that way to tell you today, when you are so tired that you just want to give up, I do not come to scold you. I come to let you rest, to nourish you, to heal you, starting from your very worn-out body. My child, it is time for you to learn a new language, the language of stopping, of resting in me, of daring to say enough to a rhythm of life that grinds down your body. More is not always better. Staying up late is not always sacrifice. Forgetting to eat and sleep is not always praiseworthy. I invite you to begin with very small steps. Go to bed a little earlier. Eat at more regular times. Allow yourself to stop when your mind can no longer focus. Be honest with others when your strength does not allow you to take on more. Do not think these things are selfish. because you are caring for the very place where I dwell, your body. When you bravely admit to me, I have reached my limit, you are opening the door for me to come in and reorder your life, from your time and work to the relationships that stretch you too thin. In those small things, I will teach you how to live more slowly without falling behind, how to pause without losing your calling. Believe that I am not only present in times of prayer or at Mass, I am also there when you lie in bed after a long day, your muscles aching, your eyes heavy, your heart pounding fast. I am right beside you when you want to burst into tears, realizing you have crossed your limits again and again. I am not asking you to abandon your responsibilities, nor to run away from reality. I am simply asking you to stop treating self-inflicted exhaustion as something normal. Because every time you treat burnout as no big deal, you are more likely to treat your body like a tool that must keep running until it breaks before you bother to repair it. But your body is not a machine. It is a living gift I have placed in your hands so that you may build your life together with me. When you begin to look at, cherish, listen to, and care for your body with gratitude, you will slowly understand that not only your soul, but your body too, is invited into the holiness and peace I have already prepared for you. Many times, I have watched you treat your body like a machine assigned to run until it fails. You only care whether it can still perform, not where it hurts or where it is gasping for breath. When your body signals with pain, you do not treat it as a conversation. You see it merely as a technical problem to be fixed quickly so you can return to the grind. You swallow a few pills, drink another coffee, force yourself to stay alert, as long as you can keep operating. In your eyes, your body seems to be just a means to an end, while your worth is tied to how much you can do, how far you can run, how much you can carry. But in my eyes, your body is a temple, a place where I long to meet you, to touch you, to be present with you in the most tangible way. When you treat it only as a tool, you are unintentionally turning a temple into a factory floor. Often, I know you do not mean to offend your own body. You are merely repeating what you were taught. Come on, tough it out. Don't fuss over little things. As long as there's money, just endure the tiredness. This body is only temporary anyway. Those seemingly harmless phrases, over the years, have turned your body into something to be used as long as it works, fixed if it breaks, discarded if it can't be repaired. The world around you glorifies achievements, productivity, numbers, and results. Few ever teach you to honor the limits of your body, to care for its rhythm of rest, to listen to what is happening inside. Even some distorted understandings of spiritual life have led you to think, as long as my soul is fine, it doesn't matter if my body is exhausted. You mistake that for virtue and sacrifice. But in truth, it is a kind of forgetfulness, forgetting that I, myself, lovingly shaped your body with my tender hands and called it good. Remember a scene from the Gospel the day I entered the temple in Jerusalem and saw that the place meant to be a house of prayer had been turned into a market of buying, selling, exchanging, bargaining, and noise. People used the temple courtyard as a marketplace, as long as it was convenient for business and yielded more profit. I overturned tables and drove out what defiled that holy place, not because I hated those people, but because they had forgotten the true meaning of the temple. Today, I no longer overturn tables in front of your eyes, but I am gently stirring your heart so you may recognize that your body is also such a temple. You have allowed too many business activities into it: overwork, endless late nights, overloaded worries, repressed anger, forcing your body to keep going without rest. You have turned what was meant to be a place of peace, gratitude, and resting in the Holy Spirit into a landing pad for all kinds of pressure. And so, at some point, I must overturn a few things through an illness, a breakdown, an incident just to remind you, this temple cannot continue to be treated like a lifeless warehouse. I do not want you to hear these words with a sense of guilt. I want you to hear them with the ears of a child being taught how to love themselves rightly again. For a long time, you have been used to controlling your body, forcing it to stay awake when it needs sleep, silencing it when it wants to speak, driving it to run when it has no strength left. Now is the time to learn another attitude, not domination through suppression, but faithful stewardship of a gift I have entrusted to you. When you see your body as a gift, you will no longer dare to waste it, nor will you feel ashamed when you need to pause to care for it and seek healing. You will understand why I placed limits in your body, why I made you need sleep, food, rest, and gentle human touch rather than only commands. Every time you respect those limits, you are acknowledging me as the Creator, and yourself as a beloved creature, not a machine that decides for itself how long and how far it must run. Just imagine if you walked into a church and saw people piling it full of things, setting up machines everywhere, noise blaring, chairs and tables in disarray. Your heart would surely sink and you would think, how can people treat a holy place like this? And yet, how many times have you done exactly the same to your own body without feeling the least bit sorrowful? You let the noise of work, social media, news, and worries fill every empty space. You do not give your body a single moment of quiet to rest, to pray, to take one deep breath. You pile on it all kinds of burdens, targets, expectations, deadlines, and even the criticisms of others that you dare not lay down. I do not blame you for having been mistaken like this, but I invite you to see differently every time you care for your body, are attentive to the rhythm of your life, gentle with your limitations. You are tidying my temple for me, clearing away some of the noise so that I have room to whisper to you. I know there are moments when you are afraid that if you do not wring out your body to the last drop, you will fall behind, be looked down on, miss your opportunities. That fear makes you grip the steering wheel so tightly that you cannot loosen your hold even a little. But my child, do you not see, the more you treat yourself like a tool, the more worthless you feel when you no longer have the strength to perform as before. One day, if your strength grows weak, if your body no longer responds as it once did, you will easily fall into despair, thinking that your life has become useless. I do not want you to live under that cruel measure. Your worth does not lie in the number of hours you work, the money you earn, or the tasks you carry. Your worth lies in this: you are my child, and I dwell in both your soul and your body. When you begin to believe this, you will allow yourself to rest without feeling guilty, to stop without feeling inferior, to care for yourself without feeling selfish. From today on, you can begin in very simple ways. Instead of asking, "Can this body still keep going?" ask, "What does this body need in order to continue being a worthy temple for the Lord?" Instead of merely squeezing it dry for work, use it to love a hug, a smile, a peaceful meal with your family, an hour of prayer in silence. Instead of trading your strength only for achievements, offer that strength as a thanksgiving offering. Lord, I use these hands to work, but I also use them to praise you, to care for others and for myself. Every time you intentionally rearrange your schedule, placing moments of rest, prayer, and stillness into your day, you are each time restoring your body to its true place, not a slave to work, but a companion of your soul on the road to holiness. And gradually, as you begin to look at your body with my gaze, you will see more clearly another truth. It is not only you who treats your body as a tool. The whole world around you is doing the same with you. The demands you hear every day: be stronger, try harder, don't be so weak, and the relentless pace that expects you to be always ready, always online, always responsive, are quietly consuming your strength and your peace. Then you will understand that the problem is not only between you and your body. The very atmosphere you live in is wearing you down little by little. And I will gently lead you deeper, so that you may see how the pressures of the world can take my place in your life if you are not watchful. If you do not know how to keep for yourself a corner of peace that I have quietly kept for you. There are days when, though your body is sitting still, inside you are being stretched thin by 1,000 invisible threads. Your schedule is packed. Messages remain unanswered. Goals have not been met. And the phrases "you must push on," "you must succeed," "you must not be weak," keep echoing in your mind. You no longer work simply in order to live. You work as if you were to stop, you would disappear from the sight of others. I see your heartbeat quickening beyond its usual rhythm, your breath growing short, your eyes darting back and forth among numbers, plans, and expectations. It feels as though the whole world is standing on your shoulders, and you assume that this is simply how things must be. But my child, pressure is not a crown for you to wear. It is a burden that I never ask you to carry alone. Since when did you begin to believe that your worth is measured by your achievements? You count the overtime hours, the projects completed, the money earned, the compliments received, and quietly use them as a ruler to decide, today, do I deserve to exist or not? You hear people praising those who work without getting tired, who stay awake many nights, who run from one project to the next, and you want to be recognized in the same way. In that race, you keep unconsciously accelerating, afraid of being overtaken, afraid of being forgotten, afraid of becoming someone nobody needs. You do not realize that the more you chase productivity and money, the more you hand your heart over to things that will never say, "That is enough, you can rest now." Rankings, metrics, and praise will not take you into their arms when you are exhausted. Only I will do that. I understand that beneath all this frantic striving lies a fear of being seen as useless, of being left behind, of being compared. Perhaps you have heard words that wounded you. Look at others. They are so much better than you. If you don't try harder, you are nothing. What you have done is still not enough. Over the years, those sentences have clung to your mind, making you believe that unless you are always surpassing others, you are not worthy of love or respect. Each time you open social media, you see others successful, talented, happy, and within you rises an invisible pressure to try twice, 3 times as hard. I do not blame you for being affected, for you are still just, my child, trying to find your place in a noisy world. But I want you to know this before you accomplished anything at all. You already had value in my eyes. Achievements are only flowers pinned to your clothing. They are not the name of your soul. Do you remember the story of Martha and Mary when I came to their house? Martha was busy and anxious, running in and out, preparing many things. The meal had to be perfect, the house in order, everything just right to be worthy of welcoming me. Mary, meanwhile, simply sat at my feet, listening to every word. In the eyes of the world, Martha was the one who was responsible, who knew her duty, while Mary seemed idle, carefree. But when Martha became upset, I did not praise her busyness. I simply looked at her with tenderness and said, "You are worried and troubled about many things. Mary has chosen the better part. I do not condemn work. I simply do not want your heart to be swallowed up by things that were meant to be only means to an end. Today, you are also like Martha, worried about many things. And I am still sitting there, waiting for you to dare set down your tray. Come and sit beside me for a few quiet moments. The pressure of the world is not only in what you have to do, it also slips into the very rhythm of your life. Your days are filled with too many reminders, too many notifications, too many calls, and far too little time to be silent. You begin your morning by picking up your phone, not by making the sign of the cross. You end your day with messages on a screen, not with a whisper of, "Lord, I thank you." Your mind is constantly noisy, today's unfinished tasks, tomorrow's duties pressing in, next week's plans already waiting. You rarely hear the sound of the wind, the birds, your own heartbeat, and it is even harder to hear my gentle voice calling you. That chaotic pace makes you think you are living to the fullest, but in reality you are letting the storms outside shake the peace within. I do not come to make you run away from your duties or cast off your responsibilities. I come to help you put things back in order. What is work and what is soul? What is a means and what is an end? What is my call and what is only the crowd's urging? I invite you to practice again the small steps you think are outdated, to pause for a few minutes before rushing into a new day, to breathe deeply and call my name, to set aside a time in your day when you turn down the noise, no screens, no work, only you and me. You can begin with a very small space of time, 5, 10, 15 minutes. But let that be a holy ground where pressure has no right to enter. In those moments that seem unproductive, I will do what you cannot do for yourself in a whole busy day: comfort you, strengthen you, and put your heart back in order. My child, I know you fear losing your place, fear plans falling apart, fear that others will think you are weak if you slow your pace. But ask yourself again, what will truly be lost if you choose to live a little more slowly in me? Perhaps you will miss a few opportunities, a few compliments, a few extra points in the eyes of the world. But you will find again a treasure you have long misplaced: inner freedom. When you dare to say no to unreasonable demands, dare to skip a pointless engagement to keep your time of prayer, dare to stop working at the right moment to protect your health and your family, then you are declaring pressure is no longer my master. The Lord is the master of my life. And you will see something wonderful. What I build with you in peace will endure far more than what you construct in haste. I want you to remember that not every urgent voice comes from me. There are voices that push you into exhaustion and then blame me, as though I were the one forcing you to sacrifice yourself until you vanish. I do not want you crushed under heavy expectations. I want you to stand firm in the world by leaning on me. When you choose to remain in me as your priority, you are not stepping out of real life. You are stepping out of the trap of having to prove yourself at any cost. You still work, still strive, still persevere, but no longer with the mindset that if I fail, I lose everything. You know that whether you succeed or fail, whether you gain or lose, you are still my child. In that certainty, the pressure of the world can no longer devour you. It becomes only waves that come and go beneath your feet, while you remain standing upon the water, your hand held in mine. Yet, my child, if you keep letting that noisy pressure fill up every empty space in your heart, there will come a time when you are not only tired, but no longer able to hear any reminder at all. Unexpected incidents, those moments when your strength suddenly drops, the events that seem like bad luck can appear as abrupt breaks in your life. People call them problems, accidents, misfortune, but I, at times, use precisely those fractures to send you a letter in a language you cannot help but notice. If you keep living amid outer storms without giving yourself a corner of inner silence, It becomes very easy for my gentle warnings to be treated as coincidences and brushed aside. And that is when you are not only crushed by the weight of the world, but also, without realizing it, you turn your back on the loving signals I patiently send you each time your body and your life suddenly come to a halt midstream. There are moments when I look at your life, and it is like a page full of exclamation marks. Yet you insist on reading it as a smooth, ordinary line of text, without pauses. When plans fall apart, trips are postponed, contracts run into trouble, your health suddenly dips, you rush to conclude, what terrible luck, what a bad day. It's their fault. It's the situation. You only want everything to return quickly to normal, so that you can continue the cycle you are used to, as if the most important thing were simply not to be slowed down. You rarely pause to ask me, Lord, is this trying to say something to me, my child? I do not set up misfortunes to make life hard for you, but I often use these break marks in your days to pull you away from a path that is quietly harming your body and your soul. When you hastily slap the label bad luck on every interruption, you unknowingly shut the door on the letters I am sending you through those very events. More than once, I have sent you very small signals, a persistent headache every time you sit too long in front of a screen, a sense of total exhaustion every time you accept another task while your heart has no peace, a meeting canceled at the last minute that gives you extra time to rest, which you immediately fill up with more work. There was a time you almost had an accident. If you had been just a few seconds faster, everything would have been different, yet you only shrugged and said, that was close. I got lucky. There was a time you were ill, forced to lie still, and I whispered to you in that silence. But you spent the whole hospital stay worrying, calculating, fuming over ruined plans. You see disruptions as enemies that sabotage your schedule, but I use them as red warning signs along the road you are traveling. Each warning sign you ignore is an opportunity lost to return to balance, to the healthy rhythm of life I desire for you. Remember, in Scripture, there was a man who tried so hard to ignore my voice that I had to use all of nature to call him back. That man was Jonah. I told him to go to Nineveh to speak words of warning, but he boarded a ship in the opposite direction to run away from me. He thought that by changing his route he could escape the troubling call in his heart. Then the storm rose up. The ship rocked. The sailors panicked, and everyone had to throw their cargo into the sea. Jonah understood this was not just a random storm, but a strong reminder I was sending him. Only when he accepted being thrown into the sea and swallowed by the fish did he finally stop and face my voice. My child, I do not want you to fall into the belly of the fish of great crises before you listen to me. I long for you to recognize me already in the small ripples of daily life, before they swell into a storm. There is a very important kind of voice that you have grown accustomed to, turning down the inner voice, where I whisper to you through your conscience and through peace. Sometimes, before a decision, your soul feels heavy. Your body is tense. You do not sleep well. Food has no taste. Prayer does not flow. That is not weak nerves. It is a signal I allow to sound within you. But instead of stopping, you reassure yourself, I'm just overthinking, and you follow the urging of others. Just do it. Everyone does it. If you walk away, you'll miss your chance. You're too soft. You'll never achieve anything. You fear losing face, losing money, losing your place. So you choose to stay silent with yourself and silent with me. As long as you do not disappoint anyone, you forget one thing: hurting people's feelings can be mended. But repeatedly ignoring the inner voice will gradually wound your own soul and body. I know that the reason you are used to muting that inner voice is not only stubbornness, it is also because you have been hurt when you dared to listen to it. There was a time that voice told you to stop, and when you obeyed, others accused you of being cowardly, of failing to seize the opportunity. There was a time you chose to slow down, to prioritize your health, to step out of a draining relationship, and in return you received judgments, abandonment, and misunderstanding. From then on, you learned to doubt the deep stirrings of your heart, to the point that every time they rise up, you cover your ears with other activities, other pleasures, other reasons that seem more reasonable. But my child, if you keep running away from that voice, you are also running away from one of the most intimate ways I use to walk with you. I will not shout into your ear in the middle of the crowd. I usually whisper in the quiet spaces you are trying so hard to fill. Many times you pray to me, "Please, show me your will." Yet in your heart you unconsciously attach conditions, as long as I do not have to change too much, as long as I do not have to let go of what I cling to, as long as it does not touch my comfort zone. When the answer comes in the form of a door closing, another door opening, a plan collapsing that forces you to reevaluate your priorities, you say, "God has not answered yet," and try to force the old door open with your own strength. You want me to answer with smooth blessings and straight paths, but I do not always work that way. Sometimes I close off a road because I see a deep chasm ahead that you cannot see. I block a good opportunity because it would swallow your time, your health, even your spiritual life. If at that moment you look only through the eyes of regret, you will blame me instead of giving thanks for being saved from something you will only understand later. My child, I have no desire to control you with fear, but I will not hide the truth. The more you ignore the warnings, the more you push yourself toward harsher lessons. A small fatigue that is dismissed can grow into a major breakdown. A warning about your lifestyle that is taken lightly can lead to long days confined to a sickbed. An uneasy inner sense that is silenced can push you into bonds that are hard to break. I do not write tragedy in advance for you, but if you constantly walk against the wisdom I give, you place yourself in the pathway of inevitable consequences. What I desire is not that you live in panic, but that you become more alert. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" begin to ask, "Lord, through this, what are you trying to say to me?" When the question changes, your heart begins to open, and from there I can lead you step by step out of the cycle that is exhausting your body and your soul. Starting again does not mean you must immediately understand every sign or decode every event at a glance. I simply invite you to practice a new habit. Pause for a moment whenever something jars your day. A meeting is canceled. A trip is delayed. Your body suddenly feels faint halfway through the day. An uneasiness stirs as you step into a place. Learn to whisper, "Lord, are you reminding me of something?" Then look back. Have you been overworking lately? Living beyond what your body can bear? Staying in environments that leave your soul parched? You can share this with a wise, virtuous person you trust, so they can help you discern. Each time you choose to speak with me instead of merely grumbling, what bad luck! You step away from the habit of ignoring and move closer to a way of life that listens and cares for both body and soul. And then, as you gradually recognize my voice in small events, you will begin to see something else more clearly. Some warning signs are not contained in a single incident, but in an entire atmosphere, an environment, a habit that stretches on day after day. If you keep brushing aside every reminder from your body and soul, you will easily settle into cycles that slowly wear you down, conversations filled only with complaints, relationships that pull you away from me, patterns of living that lead you further from peace. At that point, it is not just one problem, but the very air around you that becomes a cry for help, which you have learned to mute. I do not abandon you there. But I know there comes a time when you need the courage to look again, not only at a single action, but at the whole place and way of life that are gradually eroding your health and your spiritual life. And precisely when you dare to face that, I will take you by the hand and lead you step by step out of those old environments, so you can find a new space to live where your body is cared for, your soul can breathe, and my voice can sound more clearly in every beat of your heart. My child, there are things that do not knock you down all at once, but make you wither little by little without your noticing. They are not big shocks, but daily habits, staying up late for no good reason, pointless conversations, laughing at what is not pure, neglecting prayer, telling yourself, "I'll deal with it tomorrow." They are the environments you soak yourself in, a workplace that is always tense, a circle of friends that constantly complains about life, a family atmosphere that circles endlessly around blame and comparison. You think, everyone lives like this, so you let yourself drift along, as long as you can still stand, still breathe, still work. But, my child, rising waters do not always come as a sudden flood. Often they rise slowly, inch by inch, until there is no solid ground left to stand on. And those toxic habits and environments are exactly that kind of silent water rising in your life. I see in you things that even you no longer want, yet you tolerate them because you are used to it. You are used to waking up and immediately reaching for your phone, scrolling through countless images that stir comparison and anxiety in your heart. But you are afraid to stop for fear of falling behind. You are used to conversations filled with criticism, judgment, and attack. But you hesitate to step away because they'll say, "I'm distant and fake." You are used to rushed meals, sleepless nights, hours of entertainment that numb your spirit. But you resist setting limits because everyone does this. Little by little, you no longer recognize what nourishes you and what drains you, because it has all become a new normal in your eyes. Your body is tired, your soul is dry, yet you only tell yourself, "Maybe I'm just weak." I want you to look deeper, not only at what you do, but at the atmosphere you live in, because it also affects your health and your spiritual life. If you stay in a room that is always stuffy, with stale air and dim light, sooner or later your body will feel heavy and short of breath. Your soul is the same. If day after day you are exposed to negative talk, obscene stories, constant comparison, jealousy, and lack of trust, your faith will struggle to remain bright. If you surround yourself with people who chase only money, status, and competition, then it is understandable that you begin to treat your body as a tool and your health as something you can burn up gradually. It is not because you are bad, but because you are breathing unhealthy air. I do not condemn you for having grown accustomed to that atmosphere. I only want you to understand that if you remain there indefinitely, you will gradually trade yourself away without realizing it. Do you remember the man who had been paralyzed for 38 years? Lying by the pool of Bethesda, he was right at the place where people waited for healing. Yet he was trapped in an old loop, lying there, waiting, complaining that no one carries me down to the pool. When I came, I did not begin by discussing miracles. I asked him a simple yet profound question: "Do you want to be healed?" I knew he did. But I also knew he had grown so used to his mat, his spot, his dependent, complaining way of life, that even his desire for healing had grown dim. My child, sometimes you are like that paralyzed man. You say you want change, but you have grown so used to old habits and old environments that they have become the mat that keeps you lying there. You say you want to be healthier, want to be closer to me, yet you refuse to leave the atmospheres that draw you away from me and wear down your body day after day. I understand leaving those habits and environments is not easy. There are circles of friends who have walked with you for many years. Even though those gatherings only pull your soul down, you are afraid that if you step away, you will be lonely, misunderstood. There are jobs, ways of doing business that you know are slowly stealing your peace. Yet you fear that if you stop, you will lose your income, your position, your opportunities. There are recreational habits you know are not healthy, staying up late to watch things that weigh your mind down, overusing food and drink that are not good for you, burning your strength in meaningless parties. Yet you are afraid that if you give them up, there will be nothing left to de-stress. I am not in a hurry to wrench everything out of your hands. I only want you to dare to look straight at how these things you cling to as a refuge are in fact silently wearing down your body and your soul. And when you dare to look, you will understand staying as you are is also a choice that carries consequences you will sooner or later have to face. My child, change does not mean that tomorrow you must give up everything, cut everything off, turn your whole life upside down in one move. I know that a turn taken too sharply can sometimes break you. I am only inviting you to begin with very small but sincere steps, slowly reducing the time you spend in atmospheres that drain you, and gradually increasing the time you spend with me and with those who truly support you. Instead of sitting for hours in front of a screen every evening, you can set aside a short moment to review your day. Take a few deep breaths and offer the weariness of your body to me. Instead of joining conversations that are nothing but complaining and blaming, you can choose silence, contribute less, or actively seek out people who know how to speak words that build up and who remind you of me. Little by little, you will begin to see the air around you change, and your body and your soul will also start to breathe more easily. I do not promise you that stepping out of those old environments will always be smooth. Sometimes you will feel a sense of loss, emptiness, and loneliness. But my child, that emptiness is not a sign that you are on the wrong path. It is the new space being opened up, waiting to be filled with something better. When you bravely clear away what is toxic from your life, you make room for light, for healthy relationships, for good habits, for a gentler rhythm of living, and for me myself. I will send into your life new people, new patterns of living, new opportunities that are more in harmony with your calling and your limits. As long as you are willing to loosen your grip on the old things that have been wearing you down. And then, one day, when you look back, you will realize that the things you feared most about changing were not as terrifying as you imagined. You do not lose your true self when you leave suffocating environments. You only lose the tired, depleted, dried up version of yourself that you had mistaken for your nature. In that new open space, you will hear me more clearly, understand your own body better, respect your own rhythm of life more. You will see that every small change in your habits, every step away from environments that make you wither, is a step you take toward life. And from there, I will keep leading you further, not just to a place where you are no longer sick, but to where you truly begin to live in grace, in peace, where both body and soul know that they are cherished, protected, and loved. So, in this very moment, I ask you, do not let my words pass by like so many things you have heard and then forgotten. Do not be quick to exclude yourself and think, surely the Lord is speaking to someone else. I'm still fine. My life isn't that bad yet. My child, it is precisely this way of thinking that slows you down on your journey home. I do not speak to frighten you, but to rouse you before those silent things turn into a real storm. What I am whispering to you today is more serious than you think. Yet within it is also hidden far more light and hope than you usually allow yourself to believe about your own life. I am not standing far away in judgment. I am bending down very close to give you a reminder strong enough to awaken you. yet gentle enough not to bruise your heart once more. Let your heart slow down a little. Do not shut it quickly, because there are things I can only say to those who dare to remain still long enough to listen. I speak with you not in haste, not with the tone of someone annoyed or critical, but with the patience of a father who has been waiting for you through so many years. I have witnessed how many times you have tormented yourself, how many nights you lay tossing and turning unable to sleep, how many mornings you woke up as if your mind were wrapped in fog. I do not come to pile on more worries. I come to lift the veil that has been clouding your sight, so that you can see what you have long tried to ignore. Your body and your soul have been sending out signals. Little by little, my words are not empty slogans or lines spoken for show, but a gentle light that still has the power to pierce the layers of fatigue, confusion, and doubt surrounding your heart. My words carry spirit and life, not to load another rule onto your shoulders, but to open for you a way out, a new direction, where you no longer have to live in the old pattern that is gnawing away at your health and your peace. I know you have heard many voices throughout your life, the pressure of work, the complaints of those around you, the voices of comparison and criticism, the voice of old memories demanding that you be stronger, that you keep forcing yourself to endure. Amid all those overlapping sounds, my voice is easily drowned out, because I rarely shout. I do not make a racket. I do not impose myself. I enter your life through very small prompts, a restlessness in your heart, a longing to live more slowly, a vague desire that if only I could truly rest, a nameless sadness every time you once again do something that drains your body further. Those prompts are so gentle that you assume they are just passing moods, nothing important, and yet, right there, I am gently knocking, testing whether you have enough courage to pause, to look up, and to ask me, Lord, what is it you want me to change? Real danger does not always come in the form of big events or bad news crashing down. Very often, what silently destroys you is what you say about yourself in a calm voice. I'm just a bit sleep deprived. I just have a slight headache. I'm only a little worried. Everyone is like that. It is exactly that, just a little repeated day after day, year after year. That is truly alarming. You have gotten used to having your whole body exhausted while still forcing a smile. Your heart racing while you insist it is normal. Your mind unable to focus while you strain to finish everything anyway. You think you are good at enduring, but in reality you are ignoring the red warning sign I have hung right on your own body. Those fleeting pains, those bouts of sadness without a clear reason, those stretches of days when you find no joy in anything, these are not simply just how you are, but urgent calls I send you, which you have heard without noticing, seen without acknowledging. Remember this. I did not create you as a machine that can be endlessly drained and still keep running without concern. I wove each cell, each breath, each heartbeat of yours with tenderness. Every limit I placed within your body, the need to rest, to eat, to sleep, to be touched by love, is not a burden but a protective fence. When you push past those fences again and again, your body is forced to speak up at first through light signs, then through prolonged fatigue, and finally through problems serious enough that even doctors shake their heads. You usually only pay attention in that last stage, when everything has become grave, when test results are bad, when prescriptions grow longer, when hospitals become familiar. But I have spoken to you long before that, many times, in many ways that you yourself will recognize if you are willing to look back. You could have stopped earlier. You could have treated yourself more kindly. You could have listened to me sooner. I do not repeat this to reproach you, but so that you may understand the signs appearing in your body and mind are not some blind punishment. I do not punish you with pain. I use those pains as alarm bells to save you from things even worse ahead. Just as a father, seeing his child running toward a cliff, must call out. If the child does not listen, he has to grab his hand, and if the child still pulls away, then sometimes the only way is to let the child stumble and get a little scratched, so that he realizes the danger and stops rushing forward. The unending fatigue, the sudden stabs of pain, the inexplicable anxiety in your soul, these are my footsteps entering the territory you thought you had under control. I knock not to collect a debt, but to make you an offer. Will you let me help you rearrange the way you live, the way you work, the way you care for yourself? You can still brush aside everything I say today, just as you have done before. You can tell yourself, I'll deal with it when something really serious happens. Or, I'm too busy right now. I don't have time to think deeply about this. But, my child, you do not know how many more postponements it will take before those small warnings stack up into a full-blown crisis. I do not want that day to come with you in regret. If only I hadn't taken those bouts of exhaustion so lightly. If only I hadn't pushed through this one more trip, this one more project, this one more invitation. If only I had been willing to listen sooner. This moment is the favorable time, when your body still has enough strength to recover if you will cooperate, when your mind is still clear enough to choose again, when the environment around you can still be adjusted. I give you these words today because I believe you still have the capacity to change, still have room for the light to enter, still have the chance to step into a new way of living that honors your body and listens to my voice more. I want you to believe this. This message is not a sentence handed down, but a map. It shows you where you are standing, how far you have gone, and which paths are open for you to turn back. I do not ask you, why have you been so foolish? I simply ask, from here, how do you want to go on? And will you allow me to walk with you? I cannot erase in an instant all the consequences of the years you have driven yourself beyond your limits. But I can turn what remains into the starting point of a deeper journey of healing. As you begin to correct small habits, gradually move away from toxic environments, learn to discern and to say no to demands that exceed your strength, you will see that the signs which once terrified you become companions, reminding you not to return to the old road. Then your body will no longer be the enemy of your dreams, but the friend that reminds you to live those dreams within the healthy limits I have set, so that you do not have to pay for them with your very life. And my child, as you learn to look back, you will see that I have never taken my eyes off you, not even on those nights when you were too exhausted to pray, lying there with empty eyes and a heavy heart. I was there, in every shallow breath, in each tear you swallowed. In those moments of weakness, you did not dare to share with anyone. I was there, listening to the words you could not form, receiving even the sighs you thought no one cared about. Now I ask you only this: do not treat the signs I have placed in your body and mind as no big deal anymore. See them as letters sealed from heaven, delivered by the closest courier, your own body and emotions. When you honor those letters, you are also honoring yourself and the love I have for you. From there, step by step, I will lead you, not only out of danger, but into a new life, where you know how to be gentle with your body, tender with your soul, and more yielding to the quiet whispers I have always kept for you alone. My child, when I gently place into your life those small signs, an unusual weariness, a sleepless night for no clear reason, a heartbeat suddenly unsteady, a breath that all at once feels heavy. These are not random details for you to brush aside, nor are they annoying incidents to be quickly pushed out of your way, but very soft knockings I send to awaken you to this. You do not have the right to treat your body as a lifeless object. Your body is not a private possession that you may drain to the last drop as you please. Use however much you like. Neglect however you wish. Your body is the place I have chosen to dwell. The house I have decorated with my own hands so that my light may be kindled there. Shine out and touch those around you. Every cell, every beat, every breath in you bears my fingerprint. Each one the fruit of patient, meticulous, tender love. When you are careless, when you despise the warnings I have quietly placed within your body, you are unknowingly hanging thick curtains over the windows that were built to welcome my light. In those moments, the flame within you does not go out completely, but it is hidden, suffocated, unable to flare up, not because I have withdrawn my hand, but because you have piled upon it so many things that do not belong to me: pent-up fatigue, excessive ambition, habits of cruelty toward yourself, atmospheres that gradually chill your heart. And when the light fades this way, the enemy of your soul quickly notices that crack. It cannot touch directly the deep place within you that I am guarding, but it seeks every way to exploit your exhausted body, your tangled mind, your depleted emotions, to sow their distorted ideas, lying words, invisible fears that draw you further and further from faith, from hope, from me. You need to know one thing clearly: illnesses, physical weaknesses, the shakings in your body are not gifts I send down to punish you. I'm not the source of pain or destruction. I am the one who heals, the giver of life, the maker of all that is good. But you are living in a reality that has already been fractured. Sin has slipped into human history like a long crack across a solid floor. And from that crack, countless consequences have poured out: polluted air, contaminated food, disordered rhythms of life, dust and noise, unjust structures, ways of living that stray far from me. You breathe within an atmosphere where death no longer comes with a terrifying face, but hides beneath glittering forms, campaigns that glorify working yourself to the bone, slogans that drive you to push forward without rest, advertisements that turn pleasure and consumption into the ultimate goal. You see people staying up many nights, running from place to place, trading health for money, trading peace for applause, and you begin to think that is normal. The world calls it dynamic, successful, giving your all. I see in it a dangerous bargaining away of one's own body and soul. Within that current, sickness, breakdown, and disorder do not come from me, but are the seeds sprouting from a world that has warped itself away from the original order I designed. The result of wrong choices, unjust systems, and twisted lifestyles repeated over and over. They are like fierce waves formed far away, rolling across many seas before crashing onto the shore. And your body is the final stretch of sand that must bear the impact. The enemy of your soul, whose name you do not even need to speak out loud, though it is always lurking at the edges, is very subtle in using those cracks. It plants in your mind thoughts that seem harmless. Everyone lives like this. A bit of tiredness is no big deal. A few pills will fix it. You're still young. Burn yourself out now. Why worry about tomorrow? Too much free time just makes you bored. It magnifies your fear of failure, of being left behind, of being looked down on, so that you consent to trading your sleep, regular meals, the moments of rest you truly need, even your interior silence, just to chase after some milestone no one will really remember, or to preserve an image you are afraid others might forget, through the habits you see as just a bit of fun, through parties that go on until you are exhausted, through relationships that force you to be constantly tense in order to keep everyone pleased. It gradually pushes you out of the safe zone of grace, the place where your body and soul are sheltered by the wisdom and limits I have set. When you are worn out, you are more easily convinced by whispers that do not come from me. No one really needs you. You're ruined already. Everything is like this because God wants to punish you. There is no way back for you. These words are like thin but stubborn cords binding your mind to the dark. But my child, that is not my voice. It is the voice of the one who wants to take advantage of your fatigue to slip into your hands a distorted lens, so that you see everything, even me, through a fog of confusion. So I say to you again, with all gentleness, but also with great clarity, I do not build rooms of illness to lock you in. I do not lay you on a bed with tubes and needles just so you can taste punishment. This broken world carries within itself harsh laws of decay, and your fragile body must bear a certain share of them. Yet right in the midst of those harsh laws, I do not stand outside. I still intervene. I still walk closely beside you. I still use even the things I did not cause to open a new path for you. A sickness may appear as the consequence of years of ignoring your limits, of letting a toxic environment wear you down, of bad habits you insisted on keeping. But right within that sickness, I can turn it into a pause in which you finally notice what, in health, you never let yourself stop long enough to see. I do not send illness, but I enter the sick room. I do not create the exhaustion, but I sit there beside you through the sleepless nights of pain. I do not arrange the events that shatter your plans, but I am already there, right where your plans lie in pieces, to take your hand and say, now, would you like to begin again with me? If you only look at the pain, you will blame me. If you dare to look deeper, you will realize, before each great collapse, I have never stopped sending you soft reminders, small chances to adjust, little exits where you might turn around in time. It is only that you have been going too fast and for too long to feel them anymore. Today, as you hear these words, this is not just a block of text, not just a few vague consolations. This is a real moment in which I am speaking with you. In this very instant, I am quietly yet truly opening a door for you, the door of stopping and arranging things anew. I invite you to review the way you use your body. Are you using it like a machine programmed only to produce, or like a holy dwelling that needs to be cared for, cleaned, and cherished? I nudge you to examine the habits that seem harmless, but together form a slow undercurrent, pulling you away, hours of scrolling your phone until your eyes ache, the complaints you repeat every night, the food and drink that harms your body, yet you still use to fill your sadness, the meetings that leave you more drained than uplifted. I am not calling you to become a perfect person overnight. I am not demanding that you instantly erase everything old. But I ask you for one thing. Do not treat the aches, the instability, the fractures in your body and in your living environment as normal anymore. See them as signposts I have set up along the road, bearing this invitation. If you stubbornly keep going straight, you will hit a wall. If you are willing to slow down and turn, I will lead you onto another path that is safer. The way out I want to give you is not a miracle that lifts you out of reality and places you inside a bubble of safety where there is no sickness, no fatigue, no friction. That way out begins from within, from a change in how you see yourself, your body, your time, your success. When you recognize your body as a gift, a place where I delight to dwell, an instrument I want to use to weave melodies of love into the lives of others, you will no longer have the heart to keep mistreating it as before. When you place me again in the position of Lord over the house of your life, you will gradually learn to set things in order. Which corner is for rest? Which corner is for prayer? Which corner is for work? Which corner is for wholesome joy? You will not let work overflow into every corner, nor noise invade every space, nor relationships drain away the good energy in you. I will give you the grace to say enough in the face of unreasonable demands from others. the wisdom to know when to stop even though you still feel you can keep running, the humility to accept that you are not the Almighty, that you need rest, need care, need limits. In this moment, I also place before you a very gentle yet firm invitation: return. This returning is not only about going back to church or taking up outward religious practices again, but about returning to your own heart, where I have long been dwelling, though you rarely come by. I want to relearn with you how to live without hurry in each breath, to live without cruelty toward your own body, to live without trading your health and peace for fleeting glories. Returning means you dare to look straight at the environments that are hurting you and begin to find a way to step out, even if slowly, even if in tiny steps, even if it means accepting a season of loneliness. Returning means you dare to believe that I have not called you merely to survive, but to live truly, deeply, in the light, and that light does not shine only through your successes, but also through the way you honor your body, guard your soul, and care for yourself wholly as my gift. If you accept this invitation, even only with a sigh and a very small desire in your heart, I will begin to do my part. I will use the people you meet, the words you happen to read, the decisions you are about to make, the limits you suddenly run into, as paving stones to relay the road you walk. I will not do everything in your place, but I will not leave you to struggle alone. I walk beside you, step by step, and even if you fall back, delay, or hesitate, I will still wait patiently for you, like a father standing on the front porch, longing to catch sight of your silhouette returning from afar. Each time you choose what is better for your body and soul, however small, I smile. Each time you refuse something harmful, even just a little habit, I look at you with proud eyes. You are not alone on this journey. Many others are also wrestling with old habits, old environments, old wounds, and I am patiently leading each one of them out by a very personal path. So then, my child, do not wait until your body can no longer carry you. Do not wait until you are lying motionless under cold lights to finally recognize how many times I have knocked at your door. Right now, while your heart is still beating, while your lungs can still draw in air, while your eyes are still open to read these lines, that is already a grace, an opportunity, a way of escape I am holding out with open hands. Begin again today with a step that is very small but sincere. Honestly admit to me and to yourself that you do not want to keep living like this anymore. From that confession, I will do the rest, little by little, gently but surely, so that your tired body may find rest, your parched soul may be watered, and the light I have placed within you may shine again, not like fireworks that blaze and vanish, but like a steady lamp, quietly burning, giving enough light for you, and gradually, for those who are stumbling along beside you in this same broken world. Before you try to do anything more, I invite you to do just one very small yet immeasurably important thing. Pause for a moment and truly listen within. All this time, you have been used to springing up like an alarm clock, throwing yourself into a new day like a soldier marching into battle, with nothing in your mind but the things that must be done, the responsibilities you must bear, the goals you must reach, until you have come to believe that if you slow down, everything will fall into chaos. Everything will collapse. People will be disappointed. Opportunities will slip away. You have unknowingly placed the whole world upon your small shoulders, always in a stance of, I have to tense up, I must push more, I have to endure, and you have forgotten that you are only a child, while I am the one who is holding everything together. You have tied your sense of worth to the tasks you complete, the money you earn, the praise you hear, the roles others assign to you, to the point that if one day you cannot do what you once did, your heart easily falls into a sense of uselessness, of being lost, of having no place to stand. My child, I do not reproach you for ever thinking that way, for this very world has taught you a distorted lesson. You are only worthy of love when you do enough, when you are good enough, when you are better than others. But that is not how I look at you. It is not how I define the strength and value of a soul. True strength does not lie in your constant movement, in running without rest, in being so busy that there is no room left to breathe. True strength lies in your courage to return, to let go, to admit your limits, to sit down beside me and allow me to do the part that you cannot do. It is precisely in those moments when you are willing to be silent, to turn down the noise, to do nothing except be fully present before me, that you touch a source of strength that does not come from your own rigid willpower, but from my gentle and steadfast presence within you. You once thought that being strong meant never being allowed to stop, never letting anyone see you tired, never revealing a single crack. But to me, a truly strong person is one who knows when they have gone beyond their limits, knows when to slow their steps, knows when to step aside so that their heart, their body, and their mind may have a chance to be healed and renewed. I do not call you to hurl yourself into a blind race with other people. I call you to take small steps, but to walk those steps with me. I did not make you as a machine to manufacture results. I created you as a human being with a body, a mind, and a soul. And all three parts need to find rest in me in order for you to live in the way I desire for you. When you allow yourself to pause in my arms, when you release from your hands the worries that are not yours to carry, when you let your body lie down in peace instead of collapse in exhaustion, I begin a work of restoration that no doctor and no word of human encouragement can ever replace. There are wounds that do not lie on your skin, but in your memories in the times you were criticized, compared, forgotten, in the nights you swallowed your tears alone because you did not know whom to share them with. Those hurts cannot be seen with the naked eye, yet they quietly rule the way you live, the way you work, the way you treat your own body. There are fears that never call themselves by name, yet keep you in a constant state of tension. Fear of losing your position, fear of losing face, fear of not measuring up to others, fear of being abandoned, so that you cling to routines, to habits, to environments that are draining you, while you still think they are normal. I step into those hidden places with gentleness, without noise, without display, without needing spotlights or applause. I touch the places that even you yourself avoid, because every time you remember them, you feel pain once more. I straighten out thoughts that have strayed from the truth. I reshape the distorted beliefs you hold about yourself, about me, about the value of health and of the body that you have unintentionally treated like an object to be used up and thrown away. I give back to you the ability to see your life with clearer eyes, to see what is worth keeping and what should be released, which relationships nourish you and which environments are slowly draining you. I help you realize that resting is not running away, that caring for yourself is not selfishness, that changing direction is not betrayal, but a journey of returning to the original design I intended for you. In the silence with me, the stream of thoughts that once constantly rose up like waves begins to grow calm. Your heartbeat slows. Your breath deepens. The muscles in your body loosen their tension. Your mind is no longer pulled and jerked around by invisible urgings. You think it is only a few minutes of quiet, but in truth it is the time when your body and your soul are opening up to receive a new life force, a peace that does not depend on how many tasks await you tomorrow, how many bills there are to pay, or how many people remember your name. When you choose to sit down before me, it is as if you step out of a suffocating room to breathe in fresher air. Before, you were breathing in only negative words, comparisons, pressures, and toxic habits. But now you begin to breathe in words of truth, words of love, words of gentle reminders that I speak for you alone. I do not demand that from one day to the next you tear down everything about the life you are living. I know that if I were to rip everything suddenly out of your hands, you would be bewildered and collapse. I choose a slower way day by day. I invite you to give me a small but sincere space, so that within that space I may quietly renew you from the roots. I help you see how unfairly you have bound your body to impossible schedules, how much you have allowed your surroundings to dictate your health and your faith, how often you have let fear take the wheel instead of trust. Then step by step, I teach you to learn again, to learn how to reorder your days, to know how to say enough to demands that are no longer wholesome, to know how to say no to invitations that pull you away from peace, to choose for yourself cleaner atmospheres where you do not have to play the strong one, but can honestly say, I am tired, I am weak, I need the Lord. Each time you are honest in that way, I do not click my tongue and scold you for being weak. I hold you tighter in my arms, because at last you are allowing me to truly be a father in your life, and not just a distant idea in your mind. You often ask me to give you strength so you can keep running. But today I ask you for something else. Let me have the right to tell you to stop when it is time. Let me have the right to intervene in the plans that are wearing you out. Let me have the right to replace old habits with healthier patterns of living, even if at first you feel a sense of loss. I do not take away from you what is truly good. I only remove from you what is secretly killing your joy in living, killing your inner peace, killing the respect you owe your own body. And then, as time goes by, when you faithfully return to me again and again, through many days and many months, you will notice something strange. The things that once sent you into panic no longer clasp your heart as they did before. The places that once drained your body no longer hold the same attraction. The people who used to pull you into the whirlpool of comparisons are no longer the measure by which you define yourself. It is not that the world has suddenly changed, but that you have been quietly renewed by me from within. Your thoughts are less haunted by the fear of lack. Your heart is less driven by the urge to prove something. Your body is less used as a tool forced to work to the point of collapse. You begin to live slowly without feeling guilty, to rest without feeling ashamed, to choose what truly nourishes you instead of chasing only what looks impressive. The more you remain in me, the more deeply you understand this. Your value does not lie in where you stand, but in whom you abide. And when you abide in me, no matter how the world may change, you still have a place to return to, an embrace to rest your head in, and a source of strength that will not run dry for your body and your soul. My child, I do not promise that from now on you will never be tired, never feel pressure, never wrestle with hard choices, but I promise that if you cultivate the habit of returning to me in the midst of all that busyness, if you give me a place in your daily life, and not only in your theories, you will no longer have to fight alone. What has been worn down will be restored. The cracks within will be closed. The distorted ideas will be rearranged in harmony with life, with truth, and with the dignity I placed within you from the very beginning. And it is precisely in that journey, right in the body that is gradually finding again its rhythm of rest, that you will realize I do not only want you to survive, I want you truly to live in wholeness, to live in peace, to live slowly enough to hear my voice, brave enough to walk away from whatever is withering you, humble enough to receive healing from the one who loves you more than you love yourself. You have lived too long beneath a heavy sky that does not come from me, until that pressure has become a familiar backdrop. Like a noise your ears no longer notice, you have trained yourself in the skill of swallowing your wounds, of seeing it as normal to force yourself to get back up while inside you are already drained, of accepting chaotic, rushed, disordered days as the inevitable part of life. But what you call I'm used to, it is in fact like an invisible net tightening, thread by thread, around your soul and your body. Each habit that seems harmless, each environment you stay in for convenience, each time you tell yourself, never mind. Everyone is like this is like a thin layer of dust settling on the eyes of your heart, slowing you down and recognizing what bears my touch and what comes from a voice that is not mine. I have often interrupted your rhythm with unexpected pauses, a plan that falls through, a trip that gets postponed, a wave of fatigue that forces you to lie still, a relationship that suddenly cracks, but because you only want life to flow smoothly without obstacles. You hurry to label everything as bad luck, annoyance, trouble. You only wait for things to get back to normal so you can keep running. Keep being busy. Keep repeating the very patterns that are wearing you down, without realizing that this very normal is what I want you to re-examine. I did not make you to be a clock that only knows how to move forward, even when its hands have slipped off the right numbers. I created you with a heart that can be moved, a body that has limits, a soul that can discern. But when you live in unhealthy ways of thinking and living, those parts become distorted, and you can no longer easily recognize that I am present in even the smallest details of your day. You think you are just trying a little more, but within you is a whole field gone dry, not watered, not rested, not listened to. I see every time you drag your body to work, to appointments, to gatherings where deep inside you already want to say enough, yet because you fear people will call you weak, fear losing your place, fear missing out on something, you keep saying yes, keep taking on more, keep stepping into situations from which you leave more tired, heavier, and emptier. I clearly see the nights when your eyes remain fixed on the screen, even when your body is already asking for rest. Your heart is weary. Your mind no longer takes in anything wholesome. And yet you keep scrolling. Keep looking for a bit more stimulation, a bit more entertainment to forget the emptiness you do not dare to face. You call it relieving stress, but in truth you are pouring in more things that thicken your soul, making it harder for the peace I long to give you to find a way in. The hurried meals, the restless nights, the conversations filled only with complaints, criticism, and comparison. The hours you let unclean content invade your imagination, all of these, in my eyes, are like drops of water falling on stone. You do not see the crack immediately, but day after day, month after month, any rock will be drilled through. You do not see yourself break, so you assume you are fine, but beneath that appearance of still managing, the immune system of your soul is weakening, making you quick to believe lies about your worth and ready to accept ways of living that are contrary to my will, simply because everyone does it. I am not listing all these things to blame you or to make you feel ashamed. I speak to you as a father who sees his child carrying a backpack that is far too heavy on their shoulders and still trying to act as if I'm fine. You grew up with so many lessons that lean toward endurance. Just try to bear it. Life is about accepting things. That's life. It's not a dream. To the point that you came to think that loving life means accepting every kind of atmosphere, every kind of relationship, every habit, as long as you can still remain standing. But my child, enduring is not always the same as being faithful, and resignedly putting up with what is toxic is never a virtue I teach. I have never asked you to hold on to a pace of life that withers you inside, I have never required you to stay attached to places, groups of people, or patterns that draw you away from me and away from your own true self. When I invite you to be patient, I am not telling you to hold your breath in a smoke-filled room. I am calling you out of that room to seek a purer atmosphere, where your lungs can breathe, your eyes can see clearly, and your heart can grow warm again. The difficulty is that you have stayed in that smoky room for so long that you have forgotten what it feels like to take a deep breath of clean air. New orders of life, different circles of friends, gentler ways of living in faith sometimes frighten you, because they feel foreign compared to the familiar feeling that you have equated with safety. I understand that fear, and so I do not push you to rush out at once. I only beg you not to go on soothing yourself with, "I can still handle it," and thus remain in a place that is quietly eroding your vitality. Do you see that the people you meet, the stories you hear, the places you frequent, the content you allow your mind to soak in each day, gradually form the scent of your soul? If you keep staying in environments where people look at one another only with competitive eyes, speak to one another with harsh words, and make jokes out of each other's pain and weakness, then sooner or later your own heart will be dyed with the same colors. If day after day you have to hear over and over the kind of phrases that make you forget you are, "My child, if you don't make money, you are nothing. If you don't throw yourself into the grind, you'll be eliminated. If you're weak, that's your own problem," then it is no wonder that, at some point, you begin to repeat similar sentences to yourself, and even to your own body. You start to belittle the signs of exhaustion in your body, treating it like a tool that must keep running until it completely breaks down. You even apply that same tone to your spiritual life. Prayer turns into a task on a checklist rather than an appointment you long for. You come to me because you're supposed to, not because your heart truly yearns to. In such an atmosphere, my voice seems to grow smaller and smaller, not because I am silent, but because there are so many other voices around you, louder, more urgent, more alluring, pulling your hands and feet toward directions that have nothing to do with your true life. And yet, even when you shut yourself inside such loops, I still do not give up. I do not burst into your life like a storm that overturns everything and leaves you confused. I patiently place into your day tiny question marks that you can only notice if you are willing to pause. A conversation that suddenly leaves you tired of the old way of talking. A mass where, unexpectedly, a line of "my word" touches exactly the weariness you are carrying. A moment standing before the mirror when you realize you have lost the light in your eyes. Even though on the outside you still put on makeup and dress neatly. An afternoon when you no longer feel like being with the same group of people as always, even though you once thought that was the funnest place. In those moments, you often push such feelings aside, telling yourself, "I'm probably just having an off day. It must just be my mood." And then you drag yourself back onto the old track. But I see those moments as small cracks in the wall you have built around your heart. If you would just step back, look closely, and be honest with yourself, you would understand that I am knocking right there. I know that daring to admit that certain habits, certain relationships, certain environments are no longer fitting is not easy at all, because it brings with it the pain of having to change. You will have to accept walking through days that feel unfamiliar, hours of emptiness in a less crowded schedule, evenings no longer filled in by loud yet hollow laughter. You will have to learn to remain with yourself, to face the questions you have long avoided. Where am I really heading? What kind of person am I becoming? Do I still recognize me in the way I am living? I understand why you are afraid, why you cling to what is familiar, why you come up with all sorts of reasons to delay stepping out. But my child, if you keep covering your own eyes like this, the price you pay will not only be a few years of fatigue, it can become an entire life, which, When you look back, you realize has drifted far from the image of the child you could have become in my love. Your body will speak up more and more loudly. Sickness, depletion, disorder, collapse. Your relationships will gradually lose their depth because you no longer have the strength to love truly. Only enough to hold on. Your soul will find it harder and harder to be moved by what is good and beautiful, because it has grown too accustomed to what is bland and even distorted. I do not say this to threaten you, but to help you see the path clearly every time you make peace with the habits and environments that dry you up. You are taking one more small step into that dim region. Yet, my child, you have not drifted so far that you cannot turn back. All it takes is that today, right in this moment, you dare to honestly admit, it is true that I am living in unhealthy things. It is true that I have let myself drift along in atmospheres that draw me away from God and away from my true self. And already an inner turning point has begun. From that honesty, I can start to lead you. I will not ask you to break everything in a single day, but I will show you, very concretely, each point that needs to change, a group of friends you need to step away from, a form of entertainment you need to limit, a portion of the day you need to set aside to breathe and be with me, a place you need to visit less so that your soul does not pick up more dust. I will send you people who know how to listen and support, communities that know how to pray, environments that help you live more slowly, more deeply, more truthfully with yourself. I will teach you how to choose, not out of fear of punishment, but out of reverence for the gift that is your very life. As you little by little step out of the familiar yet toxic loops, you will begin to sense something new. Peace in the air is not as unattainable a luxury as you once thought. An evening when you switch off your screens early to go to bed on time will give you a gentler morning, where your body no longer protests against you. A conversation with less complaining and more words of gratitude and blessing will leave in your heart a sense of being lifted up instead of dragged down. A firm decision to decline joining in the kinds of entertainments that exhaust you will open up a new space where you can read a page of my word. Sit quietly in silence and let your mind rest. These things may seem small in the eyes of the world, but in my eyes they are signs that you are gradually understanding. Your life was not created to be a dumping ground for every kind of pressure, but a garden to be tenderly cared for. And when that garden is cleared of the weeds of bad habits and toxic atmospheres, the seeds of peace that I sow will find good soil in which to take root, grow, and blossom. I love you enough not to leave you forever in the cycle that withers you. I will keep placing along your path signs that awaken you, sometimes gentle, sometimes more unmistakable, so that you may know I am still knocking. But I also respect your freedom. I do not force you to open. I only whisper. Day after day, my child. You were not created to endure like this endlessly. You deserve to live in the light, in a pure atmosphere, in habits that nourish rather than destroy. You deserve to breathe, to rest, to be healed, to love and to be loved in return. The rest is up to you. Will you dare to loosen your grip on what is familiar but no longer good in order to take the hand I am extending to you? Will you dare to step out of the suffocating room and draw a truly deep breath? Will you dare to believe that I do not only save your soul from sin, but that I also want to save your body, your rhythm of life, the environment you inhabit, so that every part of you can live as a true child, no longer bound fast in habits and atmospheres that are killing you day by day, but free to grow in my love, in my light, and in my peace. And then, as you gradually step out of the old habits and atmospheres that dry you up, you will begin to notice something even deeper. All this time, you have been living as if the whole world were placed upon your small shoulders, as if you did not try harder, Hold on tighter. Push yourself more. Everything would collapse. Now your very body is speaking up on behalf of your soul, which has been weary for a long time, while you refuse to acknowledge it. You sense that this fatigue is not like before. It is no longer the kind that a good sleep will fix, but a heaviness that clings to each step, each thought, each breath. You find yourself wondering why you still do not feel refreshed after sleeping, why your mind struggles to concentrate, why your heart feels so weighed down even when nothing big seems to be happening, why the back pain, headaches, racing heart, shortness of breath appear more and more often with no clear reason. These manifestations are not just your body wearing out with age. They are the language your body uses to tell you what your soul has long wanted to confess. You are living out of alignment with what I have dreamed for your life. You were never shaped to manage everything by yourself, to control every event, to bear every pressure alone without relying on me. Yet for a long time you have thought that you had no choice but to live that way. You have clung to the worries of family, work, future, money, reputation, relationships, as though if you loosened your grip even a little, everything would fall apart. It is precisely in that clinging that you have unknowingly pushed yourself far beyond what both your spirit and your body can bear. Every time you stayed up late to finish your tasks, drank another cup of coffee to force yourself awake, took on more responsibility when your heart was already overloaded. You told yourself it was sacrifice, effort, maturity, but deep inside, the most hidden part of you is trembling from being neglected. You have opened the door for so many things to pour in: the quiet competitions in the workplace, the endless comparisons on social media, the words that push you to prove yourself without rest, the seemingly harmless forms of entertainment that steal hours from you every day, the conversations that only leave you more dissatisfied and confused. At the same time, you have gradually closed the door to the things that truly nourish you: moments of stillness to breathe deeply, to pray, to listen to yourself and to me, times of real rest when your body can relax and your soul can be laid down before me, simple moments with your loved ones, unrushed, undistracted by the ring of a phone or the flicker of screens. You have allowed noise to occupy every space of your day, until even the most delicate signals of your soul and body no longer have room to speak. Then one day, as you are now experiencing, your body begins to speak more loudly. It no longer obeys the command to keep trying, to keep enduring, to keep pushing, but starts to give way in ways you cannot quite explain. At times your heart seems to skip a beat. Your hands and feet grow weak. Waves of anxiety sweep in, even when nothing specific is happening. You find yourself easily irritable, easily saddened, easily discouraged, while on the outside you still try hard to appear normal. You are confused and go looking for explanations. Doctors may give you some conclusions, some numbers, some physical diagnoses, and I do not deny any of that. But alongside the medical reasons, there is another layer of meaning I long to whisper to you, my child. Your body is speaking on my behalf, telling you that you cannot go on living like this forever. What you are going through is not a sentence I am casting down upon you, nor a cold word of condemnation. It is an alarm bell, a gentle yet resolute reminder that the way you are living now is slowly taking you away from the fullness of life I have prepared for you. I did not write illness or exhaustion into the original plan for your life. But if day after day you squander your strength, ignore your limits, let fear and pressure lead the way instead of letting me guide you, then sooner or later your body will reflect the inner disorder of your soul. It is like a house whose electrical system has been overloaded for a long time. At first, it is only a few flickering bulbs, a few brief outages. But if the homeowner keeps dismissing them as trivial, refuses to check the system, to switch off what is unnecessary, to repair what is worn out, the day will come when the fuse blows, the wires overheat, and the whole house is plunged into darkness. The signs you are experiencing now are those very flickering bulbs. You can choose to see them as bad luck, as just age, as too much work, and then keep living exactly as before. Or you can look deeper and allow me to stand beside you and show you hidden within each pain, each moment of emptiness, each sleepless night. There is a gentle question from me. Do you want me to carry this with you? I will never force you to stop. Never rip from your hands what you are not yet ready to let go of, but I will walk with you into every room of your life, so that you can recognize what has stayed too long without bringing life. Which habits are only wearing you down? Which relationships are pulling you away from the light? Which worries you have never truly entrusted to me? You will see that it is not by chance you are losing joy in the things that once made you happy. Not accidental, that what used to excite you now feels only like duty and obligation. That is the moment your heart is signaling that you have lived too long on your own strength, no longer drinking from the wellspring of peace and grace, but running only on the adrenaline of pressure and demands. When that happens, your body cannot hide this reality forever. Its battery runs low. It becomes weary and drained, because it was never created to run on that kind of energy. And yet, my child, precisely in the days when you feel you are going downhill, lies the greatest opportunity to return to the rhythm of life I desire for you. If in the past, whenever you were tired, you only thought of taking medicine, drinking coffee, going out to forget your fatigue, plunging into shopping or entertainment to temporarily escape your emptiness, then now I invite you to try another path, to pause, to breathe deeply, and to call upon my name right in the midst of that weariness. You can speak to me with very simple, honest words. Lord, I have no strength left. I do not know what to do with my own body and my own heart. To me, that is not a shameful confession of weakness. It is the beginning of healing. When you start being truthful with me about your condition, you are opening the door you have kept locked for so long. I will not come to reproach you for letting things become this bad. I will sit beside you, and together we will gently review each area of your life, your daily rhythm, your work, your eating and resting, your relationships, the way you pray or have stopped praying altogether. I will show you the places where you have opened the door too wide to chaos and shut it too tightly against peace. You may realize that many things you thought were impossible to change can in fact be adjusted little by little. If you are willing to let me accompany you and allow yourself to slow down, you may be surprised to see that simply deciding to go to bed an hour earlier, to drop one meaningless appointment, to set aside part of your work and truly keep the Lord's day for me and for your family, gradually shifts your health, and suddenly your heart discovers new spaces to breathe and to listen. I do not promise that every symptom will disappear at once, nor that you will instantly brim with the energy of your 20s. But I guarantee you this: if you let me step in, you will no longer have to fight alone against your own body and soul. You will no longer see your body as a traitor that always fails or falls ill at crucial moments, but you will learn to see it as a faithful and honest companion, always alerting you when you are living out of step with the loving plan I have placed upon your life. Do not be afraid when you find yourself needing to see a doctor, take medicine, to be hospitalized, or take time off work. These things do not make you lose face before me. Sometimes, those quiet hospital corridors, those still sick rooms, those days when you are forced to stop working become the very desert where you hear my voice most clearly. What matters is not where you are, but whether you dare to read those events as an invitation. I will never say to you, You deserve this. I only patiently remind you, my child. This is the moment when you can choose differently. Today, when you clearly sense that your body can no longer bear the old pace of life. This is not a full stop. It is a comma I place in the story of your life, so you do not run on straight into collapse. You still have time to adjust. Still have days and months ahead to learn how to live more gently in me. Still have the chance to rewrite your habits. Change your environment. Choose your priorities anew. If you are willing to take my hand right now, what looks today like breakdown will become a turning point. What you thought was going down will in fact be you, lowering yourself so that I can lift you out of the way of living that has wearied you for so long. And one day, when you look back, you will see that your headaches, your sleepless nights, your worn-out stretches of road were not only a string of gloomy days, but a series of loving signals I used to knock on your door to remind you that you were not born to live far from the source of peace, nor shaped to run yourself into the ground. You were created to live in relationship with me, the one who longs to sustain both your body and your soul. Right now, as you bravely admit, I cannot go on living the way I have. Please lead me into a new way of life in you, my child. I see clearly that ahead of you there will still be waves, collisions, and events that can shake both body and soul. But my intention has never been for you to be crushed. I want you to know how to stand firm and even walk through these things with a mature heart and a body cared for in the way I have always desired. You are not standing at the end of your story. You are at a crucial bend in the road, where things can turn toward darkness or toward light depending on your choice to keep rushing on in your old momentum, or to dare to stop and place your life in my hands. Surrender, here, does not mean giving up, throwing away all responsibility, and lying there waiting for a miracle, but acknowledging that your own strength has reached its limit, that your frantic attempts to save yourself have left you exhausted, and that now is the time to allow the one who created you to heal you in his own way. Just like a person about to drown in a raging current who only sinks faster the more they panic and thrash about, but who is saved when they grow calm, loosen their grip, and trust the rescuing arms. So it is with you. There are things that the more you cling, the more you try to control, the more you strive to prove you are fine, the more your body and soul wear out. I do not need you to pay a price with years of burning yourself out in order to prove your love for me. What I desire is that you trust me enough to let go of the habits that are quietly killing the very life I have breathed into you. From the way you eat just to get by, stuffing yourself with what is convenient but not wholesome, to the way you ignore times of rest, stay up late night after night, live in a rushed rhythm where you have not yet breathed out before you throw yourself into the next task, from the way you keep your body taut like a drawn bow all day long, never granting it the right to relax, to take a deep breath, to sit quietly in my presence, to the way you let your mind drown in noise with no silence left in which to be aware that you are alive. All of this does not only harm your physical health, it also erodes the love, the trust, the joy I have planted in your depths. The marks are already very clear: heavy eyes in the morning, a dull but persistent headache, brief dizzy spells when you stand up too quickly after hours glued to a screen, those moments when your heart seems to skip a beat and you feel a flash of fear, only to try to forget it. Those nights spent awake not in prayer, but wrestling with worries until dawn. Those fits of irritation with your loved ones for no real reason, other than that you have been too tense for too long without giving yourself a way out. These are not trivial details to brush aside. They are the private language your body is using to tell you, my child, you have gone too far. Please turn back. I have given your body the ability to send out signals before it breaks down. But if you keep treating them as no big deal, as this will pass, as everyone is like this. You are training yourself in the most dangerous habit of all, to disregard the warnings of the very temple where I dwell. I do not shout at you through these things. I whisper. I knock gently through early signs, so that you will not have to face heavier shocks later. But if you stay silent in the face of every soft knock, there will come a time when the door of your body and soul must shake more violently for you to finally wake up. I do not want that day to come with tears, in a hospital bed, or in the midst of a collapse that makes you feel you have lost everything. But I also respect your freedom if you continue to belittle these subtle reminders. You will be the one who pushes yourself into the storm, where the consequences are not sent by me, but are simply the natural result of a way of life that continually goes against the healthy rhythm I have arranged for you. Even so, if only today, right now, you humbly stop and recognize, I no longer want to live like this, then you have already begun to turn in a new direction. Changing course is not a dazzling moment on social media, not a dramatic promise soon forgotten, but a series of small yet genuine decisions, choosing to sit down and eat a proper meal instead of gulping food in front of a screen, switching off your phone a little earlier so your body can rest and your heart can have a moment with me in silence, declining a pointless outing to keep one peaceful evening at home with your family, loosening your dependence on fleeting stimulants, coffee, sweets, the flood of entertainment content, in order to rediscover the simple joys I once used to touch your heart, a soft, breezy afternoon, a page of my word, an honest conversation. You do not have to turn everything around at once by yourself. I am not sitting high above, arms folded, waiting for you to be perfect before I love you. I am walking beside you, heart brimming with patience, ready to take your hand each time you choose one small step toward life. I know there will be days when you are so tired you do not want to do anything, change anything. You just want to drop everything on those days. What I ask of you is not a grand plan of transformation, but a simple, truthful sigh, Lord. I have misused my body for too long. Please help me begin again. That alone is enough for me to enter and start gently yet firmly tidying the ruins within you. I will teach you to discern which habits truly make you more alive, and which only help you briefly forget your fatigue before leaving you with heavier consequences. Which environments nourish you and which atmospheres drain your strength, which activities help you grow in your vocation, and which whirlpools pull you away from me. Every temptation that lies ahead, the temptation to keep burying yourself in work to forget your tiredness, to fill the emptiness with passing pleasures, to pretend you are fine so you will not have to face the truth. I already know them all, and I will not let you face them alone. I grant you the grace of discernment, the clarity to recognize which small choices lead to true freedom. I place beside you people who will remind you of the worth of your body and your soul. I open before you new opportunities, not only so you can make a living, but so that you may live in the full meaning of being loved and guarded by me. Each time you choose to listen to the voice of peace within, even when it means going against your old habits, you are not only protecting your health, you are cooperating with the plan of healing I have prepared for you from the very beginning. And, my child, I ask you, do not wait until circumstances have become unbearably bad before you are willing to change. Do not wait until the doctor speaks words that make you tremble, until your steps are no longer steady, until your heart is forced to lie still upon the operating table, until those who love you are left sitting outside, helpless. My child, now I want to speak to you about something very quiet, yet constantly gnawing away at your strength day after day. It is the burden you have been carrying in your heart all these years. Pressure, worries, tension, fear, all of these have wrapped around your heart like ropes pulled tight, until you have grown used to living like a taut string and have come to think that is normal. Within you there is not just a gentle breeze, but an entire storm that sometimes roars and sometimes falls silent, yet has never truly been calm. It is not as loud as the shouting outside, but it wears down your inner strength in a very subtle way. You smile less than before. You sleep less peacefully than before. You find this life less worth living than before. And you recognize less and less my gentle presence in each day of your life. I see every stifled sigh you hold back. Every night you toss and turn on your bed without anyone knowing. Every time you pretend to be strong while inside you are already exhausted. It is not because you are weak that you are like this, but because you have lived under the bad weather of the soul for too long, until your body has grown tired as well. And I, the one who loves you, cannot stand by and watch you go on suffering like that any longer. I long to intervene, to reorder things, to soothe, to heal. But I do not impose myself. I wait for you, so that I may be allowed to step into the deepest place you have been trying so long to control by yourself. Do you realize? The waves of anxiety you carry in yourself are no different from a vast sea on a stormy day. On the surface, everything may look calm, but beneath, the waters surge and crash against the sides of the boat, leaving you exhausted. Your body is only the small vessel struggling to stay afloat, while your mind is the sailor who has stayed awake through too many nights, always in a defensive stance, never truly at rest. You strain your eyes toward the horizon, searching for a sign of peace, yet you forget that I am on the boat with you. Every time you try to row all by yourself, trying to keep everything from collapsing, you feel yourself grow smaller and more helpless before things that lie far beyond your control. You think you must brace yourself, grip the helm tightly, and control every possible scenario, or else you will be overwhelmed. And yet, it is precisely this constant straining that is wearing you out, not the waves outside. I do not blame you for having tried so hard. I am only saddened that you have forgotten you are not alone on this sea of life. You have heard so many times the story of how I calmed the stormy sea. Yet you rarely allow me to calm the storms within your own heart. I want to tell you the whirlpools in your mind, the sudden rushes of panic, the days when your chest feels as heavy as if weighed down by a stone, are not just your personality, but alarm bells signaling that you have lived far too long in a state of red alert. It is this constant vigilance, these thoughts of what if, in case, if only, that never allow you to live in the present moment. Your body is never permitted to relax. Your mind is never allowed to rest. Your heart is never allowed to let go. And then, little by little, you are pulled into a way of living in which you are always in battle mode, always feeling as if something is threatening you, even though no one is standing before you with a sword. If you keep yourself in that state, sooner or later your body will raise its voice more loudly. Irregular heartbeat, short and shallow breath, stomach pains, stiffness in your shoulders and neck, restless sleep. I do not say this to frighten you, but so that you may understand that your body and your mind are bound together, and I am using both to awaken you, my child. It is time to step out of this constant tension. I do not wait until you collapse to appear. I am here now, in this very moment when you are still able to stand, still able to listen, still able to choose. I do not like to use harsh events to drag a soul back to me. I desire to begin with gentle moments, when you are still lucid enough to respond with love and not out of fear. That is why today I speak to you in a voice that is both tender and firm. Let me become the one who commands the sea within your heart. Instead of you insisting on being the captain all alone, you do not need to shout. You do not need to perform complicated rituals. You do not need to try to get my attention so that I will hear you. I have never been far from you. Not for a single moment. I am there in the mornings when you open your eyes, in the afternoons when you sit quietly, staring into nothing in particular, in the nights when you pull the blanket over your head just to hide the tears you do not want anyone to see. Every breath you take rests in my hand. Every beat of your heart lies within my care. What I am waiting for is not a panicked cry, but a sincere nod, a whispered prayer. Lord, I'm tired. Please come in. When you dare to lay down your weapons, when you no longer need to appear strong before me, when you no longer feel you must prove to me that you are still okay, then I finally have room to act. You are so used to managing everything on your own that the thought of letting me take hold of the helm can frighten you. You fear losing control. You fear that if you hand things over to me, they will not go according to your plans. You fear that I will ask you to change many things for which you do not yet feel ready. I understand these fears. I do not blame you for hesitating. I simply remind you gently that you are already too weary from the way you have been steering everything yourself. You know your limitations better than anyone. Therefore, if you can take just one small step, admitting to me that you no longer have the strength to hold everything so tightly as before, that already marks the beginning of a great deliverance. When you allow me to enter the deepest region of your soul, the place where you hide painful memories, unspoken worries, and dreams that have been buried, I will not come as an interrogating judge, but as a father who sits down beside you, listening to you completely, without judgment. I will point to each torn place within you that you have tried to cover up and say, you don't have to strain anymore. Let me touch this. The peace I want to give you is not a fleeting comfort lasting a few minutes, after which everything goes back to how it was. I want to establish within you a new order so that fear is no longer the one at the steering wheel. The past is no longer the rope that drags you backward, and what others say is no longer the loudest voice that shapes who you are. When I speak a word of consolation, that word reaches deeper than any superficial encouragement you have ever heard, because it touches precisely where you are cracked and wounded. I do not merely stroke the surface, I want to heal you at the root. Yes, your body needs rest, needs care, needs its rhythm of life to be adjusted, and I will lead you step by step through that change. I will teach you how to reorder your schedule, how to say no to what is unnecessary, how to honor your times of eating and sleeping, how to let your body breathe, rest, and move at a gentler pace. But if things stop there, you will still easily fall back into the old cycle whenever a new upheaval comes. That is why I want more. I want to heal the distorted thoughts and mistaken beliefs that have long made you see the world, yourself, and me with anxious eyes. I want to enter your mind and cleanse it of the phrases others have sown into you that make you always feel inferior, useless, less than. I want to replace the lines "you're not as good as anyone." You have to try harder. You'll never amount to anything with the quiet assurance, "You are my child." You were precious long before you did anything at all. I want to touch those emotional places that have gone numb, leading you to think you no longer know how to rejoice or grieve as before, and gently allow your heart to grow soft again, to be moved by what is good, to weep tears of comfort and not only of exhaustion. I want to uphold your soul, which has grown tired from having to believe and doubt at the same time, to hope and fear at the same time, to seek me and flee from me at the same time. I want to help you once more taste the simple trust of a child, knowing that you do not have to manage everything, because the Father is there. Yet none of this can happen if you keep gripping the key tightly in your hand. I respect your freedom so deeply that I will not break in. I stand at the door of your heart and knock, amid the noise of work, of social media, of conversations, of racing thoughts. If you keep turning up the volume of everything else, it will be hard for you to hear that very gentle knocking. but just once. If you choose to turn down the noise, to sit quietly for a few minutes, to breathe in and out deeply and call my name, you will be surprised to realize that I have never left. In that moment, speak to me, not with fancy words, but with simple truth. Here I am. I'm not good at praying. I don't know where to begin, but I need you. I will take care of the rest. I will gradually calm the surging waves of your emotions, help you see things more clearly, help you discern what truly matters and what can be released. I will show you the places where you are making life harder for yourself, the things you are holding onto that do not belong to you, the points at which you can let go, and the world will still keep turning. And from this new peace, your physical strength will slowly be restored as well, because your body will no longer have to live in a constant state of alarm. I do not promise you that all the storms outside will disappear at once. The tempests of this life will still come. There will still be days when events exceed your plans, still situations that sadden and tire you. But I promise you something more precious from now on. You will no longer have to face them alone. The greatest storm will no longer be outside of you, for little by little it will dissolve within your heart, as you allow me to be the one who speaks the final word over your life. Not fear, not anxiety, not pressure, nor the voice of any other. Therefore, my child, I invite you today, not tomorrow, not when you have more free time, not when everything is neatly settled, but today, in your present condition, however messy, tangled, and unfinished it may be. Today is the moment you can gently say, to me, I accept your leading. I no longer want to fight on my own. From that small yes, I will begin to weave your life's tapestry anew, thread by thread. Do not wait until your body collapses, until your mind shatters, until your soul is drained dry to think about coming home. Coming back is not necessarily a dramatic turning point in tears and bright lights. Often it begins very quietly with an evening when you switch off your screen a little earlier to spend a few minutes talking with me. With a morning when you slow down to breathe and make the sign of the cross. With a small decision to stop blaming yourself every time you are not perfect. All these little steps, when you walk them with me, will add up to a journey of deep healing. I am waiting for you to take that first step in the full freedom of a child, not out of compulsion or fear. You need only open your mouth and say yes, leave the rest to me, that I may love you in the way that only I know you truly need. My child, if today I open my mouth to speak to you about the ways I have sheltered you, it is not so that you may count my merits, but so that for the first time you may look at your life in the light of truth, how many times you should have collapsed and yet remained standing. How many examinations should have yielded far more severe results, but then turned in a gentler direction. How many times you escaped disaster by a hair's breadth in ways you yourself could not explain. All of this did not come from some vague luck, but from my hand quietly shielding you, mending the cracks, covering the weak places in your body before they erupted. I have stood between you and countless dangers you never even had time to name. I have arranged for you to meet the right doctor at the right moment, changed your plans at the last minute so you would not walk into risky places, slowed your steps by only a few seconds so that accidents could not touch you. I have laid over your organs, your veins, your very cells, a layer of protection that the human eye cannot see. But, my child, you have now reached a threshold where my interventions from the outside are no longer enough. Not because I am powerless, but because I respect the way you are treating yourself, and I invite you to cooperate with me from within, through the very concrete choices you make each day. I need you to take your own hands and tidy up the house of your life, to sort out what truly deserves to remain, to bravely let go of what only leaves you more numb, to turn your face away from whatever is draining you dry, no matter how attractive or familiar it may appear, so that you may choose life consciously, even if at first that feels difficult, goes against your habits, and leaves you feeling empty. You must know that your body is not an object to serve ambition, not a vehicle to be overdriven and only dragged into the shop when it breaks down. It is a holy space into which I breathed the first breath, the room where I desire to dwell with you, the heartbeat I long to beat in unison with. Yet you have often forced it to go too far, loading it with work, anxiety, sleepless nights, and buried tension beyond the limits I have set. Day after day, the world pours into your ears a noisy tune. You must always advance, always compete, always achieve more, always prove yourself. You must not be weak, must not slow down, must not allow yourself to fall behind others, until you have come to think that voice is self-evident. But I assure you, that is not the melody that springs from my heart, for I do not define your worth by any record of achievements. I do not love you more because you do more, and I am not disappointed in who you are when you have to stop, to rest, to admit that you are exhausted. In my eyes, before you do anything at all, you are already my child, and that alone is enough for me to hold you close. True growth in life does not sprout from you forcing yourself to push harder, strain more, and drive yourself further, but from sinking your roots more deeply into relationship with me, the one whom time cannot wear down, the one who does not change with the passing trends. That relationship is not nourished when you try to steer everything according to your own will, but when you dare to open your hands and release the need to grasp it all, to control it all, allowing yourself to enter a slower, gentler rhythm of life, one that matches the heartbeat I have already written into your heart. I know this goes against your instinct for self-protection, because you have grown used to believing that to slow down is to lose, to rest is to miss your chance, to step back even a little is to be left behind. Yet in my kingdom, the child who dares to stop and listen to the Father's voice is the one walking on the right path, and the one who dares to choose peace while others are frantic is the one drawing nearer to the wisdom from above. I do not speak these things to you as an abstract theory, but as a forewarning of a season that is coming, in which I will open for you a precious span of time, not long, yet filled with energy from heaven, like a band of sunlight breaking through a stretch of heavy, clouded days. If you know how to seize it, many of the tangled knots in your health, your work, your relationships, as well as in your inner life, will have the chance to be set in order. It will be a season when certain doors you keep throwing yourself against will quietly close, not to make life harder for you, but to stop you from wasting your strength in places that no longer belong to you. And it will also be a season when other doors, seemingly small and discreet, will be gently opened, inviting you into healthier rhythms of living. Yet all of this will truly unfold only if you are willing to walk with me, to agree with me through concrete actions. I do not ask perfection of you. I do not demand that you have a detailed plan, flawless goals, and a polished schedule before you come to me. I am simply seeking in your heart one honest yes, even if it is trembling. A small decision that says, I do not want to keep living the way I have been. I am not waiting for you to understand everything I am saying. I am calling you to trust me enough to change direction, to alter a few habits, to reorder certain relationships, to allow me to take part in every decision that concerns your health, your sleep, your time, the space in which you live. Illness is not a sentence I have written in advance for you. I do not delight in seeing you on a sickbed, and I take no pleasure when you hold in your hand a bad report. But if you persist in walking against the order I built into creation. If you go on piling up stress, staying up late, abusing your body and ignoring the stopping points, then the doors I have been using to shield you from harm will gradually see fewer and fewer of your footsteps, not because I have withdrawn my hand, but because you have walked far outside the place of my protection. Wherever you discard the principle of moderation, their risk will find a foothold, like water seeping into a crack in a wall that has long gone unrepaired. My word to you today is my outstretched arm before the strong wind rises, the armor I place into your hands before the collision comes, so that you will not have to say, "No one warned me," so that you will not be shocked when the very way of life I am urging you toward now turns out to be what saves you from a far more weary future. I invite you not to delay under the pretext of waiting for clearer signs, not to insist on another bout of illness, another hospital stay, another sudden crisis before you are willing to believe that I am truly speaking to you, because I have already engraved this truth deep within the innermost place of your soul. Each time you hear these words and your heart sinks, feeling both afraid and strangely at peace, that is the sign that my spirit is touching something very real within you. You have always had a vague sense that the way you treat your body and the rhythm of your life is not right. Many times the thought has flashed across your mind, if I keep going like this, one day I will collapse. Yet you quickly bury that thought under work, laughter, glowing screens, and new plans. This time I ask only that you do not silence that echo anymore. Let it resound longer, deeper, until it leads you to a decision not to despise your body, not to make light of my voice, not to consider a balanced life a luxury, but to begin guarding it as you would a treasure newly uncovered. For it is precisely in honoring this limit that I will continue to place around you a hedge of protection, not only from heavy diagnoses, but also from the inner losses the world has no way to measure. My child, today I have spoken to you with all the tenderness and seriousness of a father. The rest now lies in your hands. You can go on as before and dismiss this as nothing more than a moving passage, or you can allow it to become a small yet real turning point in your life, where you begin to learn anew how to live, how to rest, how to listen to your body that is my temple. From there, you will discover that I have never wanted to take away anything truly good from you. I only long to lead you out of what is quietly killing you little by little, so that you may live, truly live, instead of merely existing in the shadow of what the world calls normal. In this moment, I open my heart, laying down all noise and weariness, to speak to you, Lord, the most sincere prayers from the depths of my soul. Almighty God, you who know every beat of my heart better than I know myself, today I come to you worn out in both body and soul. I have been running for too long, straining beyond my strength, forcing myself to be strong until I no longer dare to admit to anyone that I am exhausted. I kneel before you, carrying with me the pains in my body, the confusion in my mind, the silent fears about tomorrow and about my declining health. Please forgive me for the many times I have treated lightly the body you so gently created, seeing it as a tool to get things done rather than a temple for your presence. Please step into every weary place, every organ crying out, every part of me that has been worn down by lack of rest and living out of rhythm. I am not asking for a loud miracle. I ask you to heal me slowly, in silence, through each peaceful night of sleep, each wholesome meal, each moment when I allow myself to stop. Help me to be brave enough to say enough to unfair demands, so that I may protect my body as I would protect the very place where you dwell. Teach me once again to live as a child, not as a machine driven by achievements and the eyes of others. Merciful Father, who always waits for me at the roadside whenever I am worn out. I confess before you that I have been deeply afraid of stopping. I have believed that if I slow down, everyone will leave me behind. If I rest, I will become useless. If I say, I have no strength left, I will no longer be respected. Because of these fears, I have pushed my body beyond its limits, ignored its aches, and taken lightly the warning signs. Now, when both body and soul are tired, I finally realize that this is not strength, but that I have gone far too long without letting myself rest in your arms. Grant me the grace to stop at the right time, to say no to what steals my peace, to discern what is truly your call and what is only the pressure of this world. Teach me to walk more slowly, not out of laziness, but because I want to walk with you instead of running wildly on my own. Give me enough humility to admit my weariness to you, enough courage to change my pace of life, even if that means losing a few compliments or passing opportunities. Shape my heart to believe that in the moments when I stop, you are still at work, and that I do not have to wear myself out to prove my worth, because my worth has been in your heart from before all ages. Almighty God, I bow my head in gratitude to you, for you have allowed me to see that my body is not my enemy, nor a soulless work machine, but a holy temple where you desire to dwell with me. I am thankful that you have not abandoned me when I mistreated myself, but have patiently sent signs to wake me up. I thank you that every bout of fatigue, every illness, every moment when my body speaks up even when it is uncomfortable, becomes an opportunity for me to pause, to return to a way of living that respects my limits more. I thank you for not growing weary of my stubbornness, but for continuing to teach me to love my own body again with your gaze, so that from now on I may guard it, care for it, and use it as you desire. Compassionate Father, rich in mercy, I thank you for the interrupted moments in my life, for the plans that fell apart, the trips that never happened, the doors that suddenly closed. In the past, I saw these only as misfortune and annoyance, but now I recognize them as the brakes you placed along the road to keep me from hurtling into an unseen abyss. I thank you for not allowing everything to run smoothly according to my wishes, when that smoothness would only have led to exhaustion and losing my way. I praise you even for the events that forced me to lie still, to reconsider, to face myself honestly. Through them I have come to understand that you are not silent. You are speaking to me through very ordinary, very concrete pauses, and I am grateful that today I have begun to learn the language of those interruptions. As if they were lines from letters you have written especially for me. I offer this prayer in the holy name of Jesus Christ. Amen. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so that together we can build a strong community of faith